Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Pastor Jake DeVisi and talking about counseling for seniors, a wonderful seniors group, and counseling really at all ages of the game. Is it harder being a kid today than it used to be?
I think it is. I think there's a lot more pressure on them. Actually, there's twofold pressure. Sometimes the kids do it themselves. Kids aren't being kids. They're not going out and playing and experiencing outdoor things. Even before I was left the camp back in 2009.
Mm-hmm. And you're talking about
Camp Choff. I was the camp director there for 10 years, and we would have parents drop their kids off and say, well, my kids don't play outside. And they're bringing them to camp. And I said, well, they'll play outside this week.
That'll be a rude awakening.
It'll be a rude awakening for them. So some of it's self-imposed. And then secondly, parents don't place limits on their kids for video time and screen time and gaming time. So that takes away of it a lot too.
When we've read more and more about the dangers of too much screen time at different ages and how it even affects your brain development and so forth, why is it that it seems like there are not limits? Is it because these things didn't exist when we were kids, so they just don't know how much is good, how much is bad? Why? Is it lack of knowledge? It can't be for lack of caring.
Well, I don't think it's lack of knowledge. I think what it's become is an easy babysitter.
Oh my.
And you can put your kids in front of a screen and let them go. Whether it's a TV screen and watching, something as innocuous as the Paw Patrol, but they're there in front of the screen. And then also the video screens, of which there is murder and rape and all kind of things that they're experiencing. And again, it's getting more and more real. They have the new VR things, that virtual reality, and people are experiencing that. And so it leads to then, I think, physical reality later on.
There are such good ones, too. There is a Bible app where it's interactive. They press the screen and the characters act out different parts of it. It's phenomenal, but too much of it can have a negative physical effect on the child.
Everything that we have access to today, there's good qualities and bad qualities.
Amen. There you go.
And so there's got to be a balance point. And so I would urge parents to find that balance point, especially in the summertime. In the summertime, turn the games off and go out and play. Have fun. In the wintertime, okay, you got a little more screen time in the wintertime, but you can also supplement that with reading and other things. Again, that's a pastime that's going by the wayside, is reading.
Yeah.
So it can be done.
It can be done. And I think when you're talking about bullying and so forth and screen time, there's an awful lot of time spent on social media where we did not have this when we were kids. And this is something kids need to learn to navigate. How do you do it right? And what's a parent to do, or a grandparent raising their child to do, their grandchild as a child? What are reasonable limits so that you don't raise somebody who's completely out of touch, but also somebody with a healthy knowledge of how valued they are in the eyes of God?
That's right. Well, I think, again, you have to be responsible as that parent or grandparent raising them. You cannot let them go on their own.
Yeah.
You have to supervise them. They're children. You have to supervise them. So again, it is keeping track of their screen time, and it's it's checking their phones. Listen, I've dealt with that in marriage counseling. You've got to sometimes check phones. My wife and I have the same passwords for each other's phones and computers, so that she can check mine and I can check hers. And we've had no reason to do that, but it's a point of accountability.
That'd be a really awkward question. And if you have to ask, you probably already know the answer.
Exactly.
Can I check your phone? I can't imagine asking my husband.
But you put those accountability things in line so you don't have to do that. So it's, again, I think it's good for a parent, take it at dinner time, put the phones off to the side. If you're going to have family devotions, put the phones off to the side. There's got to be time when we set them away. I mean, how did we survive all those years without our phone in our hand, right?
I know, right?
That's crazy. We don't think about that now because we're so used to it.
Yeah.
But that's the big thing with them, is that accountability and knowing, and I think knowing that someone's watching. Of course, we're on Christian radio. We know God's watching. Yeah. Right? Ultimately,
there's accountability there.
And we forget about that very quickly. We worried about, mom and dad see it. Well, maybe or maybe not, but God did see it. And so we're accountable to him first and foremost in all things that we have. Absolutely.
Oh, when my younger son was going into filmmaking, he said to my mom, I always write my scripts thinking my grandma's going to be watching this someday.
There you go. That's great accountability, isn't it? Absolutely.
And she liked that a lot. It does seem, though, that with phones, with anything, when you're talking about family devotions, set them aside and have family devotions. Do families do that?
I don't know. I want to be realistic about it. It was easy when our kids were little that you put on the bed at the same time, tucked them in, and read a little devotional. But to be honest with you, when our kids were teenagers, if we got a good solid night during the week, I was pleased with it. Now, again, being a pastor, my kids were in church Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. So that counts. I mean, that is to come home after church on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock and say, okay, let's get your Bibles out. It's not going to fly. So have something, again, that balance point that we have to have. There has to be a time when the family can sit down and read the Bible and pray. And again, husbands and wives, we're both empty nesters now, and that's important for us to do with our spouses as well.
Oh, just praying together is just so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you do hit a stage where, wow, that's like one of the most important things we can do now.
That's right.
Particularly for our children, for our families. Yeah. I think of some of our home devotions. Those are some of my favorite times. And I'm wondering, too, isn't it not most important? Yes, it's important that we get them into church, but they're watching us, and they're seeing how we behave when we're not in church.
Yes.
And that's probably a bigger sermon for them than any one that you might deliver.
And you don't realize it. Again, as I grow older and my kids grow older, some of the notes and such that I get from my children on birthday cards and that reflect that. They thank me for that. Yeah. And another thing that I've started doing several years ago, when my mother-in-law passed away going on 7 years ago, she was a great, great lady, a godly woman, and a lot of people came to her calling hours and told us how great she was and how wonderful. And I asked them, as I preached her service, I asked the congregation this, did you ever tell her that?
Oh, my.
Right?
Did
so
they?
Some of them I know
I'm hoping, yes.
But here's my issue. What I started doing is started telling people those things while they're living.
Yeah.
So what I do now for Christmas coming up and then for my kids' birthdays, I write them a letter now and try to encourage them and try to bring a memory to their mind. And then, in essence, they're doing that to me when they give me birthday cards and such as well. They are very cognizant of that and do a very good job of expressing their love. But it's something that we can hold on to, and you can see that your kids were watching.
Yes.
It's important.
Yes. And nice to jog their memories. It's okay to jog their memories every once in a while, right? Because those are precious to us as well.
As we come up to the holidays, around the dinner table at the holidays of sharing Thanksgiving, sharing Christmas memories and what the holiday means. What's Christmas mean in your household? And going around the table and letting everybody, if they can speak, let them speak.
Yeah.
And going around the table, and you're going to get some funny stories from everybody. But once again, I think that's an important thing to do, and gives them tradition, and gives them some voice, and shows them really what's important. Oh,
and you get to hear from all generations.
Yes, it's fantastic.
It is. It's wonderful. How important are traditions? They carry on. Some families just have crazy ones that they pass from one generation maybe to the next, and you hope they never die out. At least the older people are hoping they don't die out, that they get carried on. How important is that?
I think they're very, very important, especially spiritual traditions. The Bible does tell us about not doing traditions for tradition's sake.
Yes.
And I get that. So I think, again, when we talk traditions, it needs to be something that we're handing down to the other generation, preferably a spiritual tradition, reading the Christmas story at Christmas time together, sharing something that they're thankful for, sharing that we can give to others during Christmas. It's not all about receiving gifts, but it's giving gifts. And those kind of traditions, or even the way you celebrate the Christmas holiday together, of opening gifts and being thankful. And something we try to do is you open one gift per time with everybody watching. So it's not just this tearing of massive paper, and all of a sudden I don't even know what anybody got.
Over in seconds.
Exactly. Yes. So things like that I think are very important, yes.
Yes. Well, because, and we've talked about this earlier, we have a need to receive those things that we need, but we also have a need to give, don't we?
Exactly.
And that gives you an opportunity to do that.
It sure does.
You've got something great coming up for Christmas. One of the things that we think of at this time of year is the beautiful music.
Yes.
What are you going to be doing?
Well, we've got two things this year. First and foremost, on Sunday, December 8th at 5 o'clock, our kids are doing a program called Good News Ahead, The Signs of Christmas. So it's all of the young people at the church are putting on a musical. I understand there's some speaking parts and drama as well, good drama that they'll have. But that is on Sunday, December 8th at 5 o'clock, and it's a free event. And anybody that wants to come out, of course, those are events that draw all the parents out. And grandparents to watch their kids and grandkids participate, but it's open to everybody. So
it's the best.
They're fun. Kids are
they're
so fun to watch. You never know what's going to happen, and it's good. And then also we're having a Christmas musical for the whole family called All Year Long. It's going to be shown twice, and both of these times we set so that we don't want to steal people from another church. They have their program, so we try to do it at off times. So Saturday, December 14th at 6 o'clock, and then Sunday, December 15th at 3 o'clock, our choir will put on that. Again, some dramatic parts involved as well, good Christmas music, gospel presentation, and so it's going to be an exciting time. We're always looking forward to getting those things done early in the month, celebrating early on, and then giving our people at work. Our choir's been practicing since August.
Wow.
So, they need some time off after that as well. So
and
get
with
it
their
done
families.
and be with their families as well. And it's good when that Sunday at 3 o'clock is done, then they're off for the rest of the night and go home and not worry about those things.
It sounds like you could have a full house at any one of these. Do we need to let you know ahead of time we're coming? Just come.
No tickets are needed. Just come. There's no admission. We take an offering at our services, but we always mention the fact that our offering is for our church members. We don't expect anyone that comes to visit that they have to give. If they choose to, that's fine, but we don't want to put that pressure on them as well. Just come and enjoy.
And that's Canton Baptist Temple. What's the website?
Our website is cantonbaptist.org.
cantonbaptist.org. Pastor Jake DeVisi, thanks so much for all you do in our community.
Thanks for having me, Susie.